So you might think that ADHD is an attentional problem. Makes sense, right? I mean, the name is in the title, ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. But it's not. It's not that simple. Because let's really try to understand executive function and ADHD and the reward system. That's going to be today's topic. I'm Jen Whitfield. Welcome to The Whistle. And my qualification is this really expensive piece of paper here. So, let's get into it. So exactly what is our misconception of ADHD and executive function? Well, I think first we need to understand how executive function is supposed to work in a perfect world. Your motivation should automatically direct your sensory input, which includes visual and audio information from things you read, things you see, things you watch, things you listen to. Anything that you're paying attention to should integrate your new memories with your old memories, and together make decisions and plan and coordinate what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. And it should also inhibit distractions through a type of a buffer so that you stay on task with goal-directed behavior that's in line with motivation. And it's not that people with ADHD don't have attention, it's that we don't necessarily control it in line with our motivation. So what does the reward system look like in a quote-unquote normal person? When you do something well, okay, and you receive some sort of reward for it. Sometimes it's just the simple act of completion. Your brain says, oh, I did a good thing. It gives you that little boost of dopamine. Not a ton. It's not like getting a high off of a drug. It's like a normal mediated reward that you receive through tasks, through social reward, etc. And if you do something wrong, your punishment system is going to say, oh, that was bad. Let's not do that again. Okay, so this is how your reward system works in line with your goal-directed behavior. Okay, so if you do something wrong, like you slack off and you don't study, and then that exam doesn't go well and you get a bad grade. Okay, in a normally functioning person, their brain is going to go, oh, I did something wrong. I shouldn't do that again, and then move on. So what happens if you have ADHD? Okay, completely opposite of that. Our reward system, when we do tasks, like, oh, I did the dishes, it's so nice to have things clean. Nothing. I studied, I got a really good grade. Nothing. I screwed up, I messed up, I didn't study, I was late. Oh, I'm gonna beat myself up forever and ever and ever and just keep on punishing myself. I didn't study enough, I got a bad grade. Oh my God, I'm so disorganized, I have no sense of time management. Oh no, this is what I did again. Over time, that forms your identity. That forms your sense of self. And it deteriorates your self-esteem. People with ADHD have notoriously low self-esteem. And what else we know from, the other things we know from organizational behavior, especially, is that we need confidence in order to carry out a task. We need to know that we have the ability to do it. We need to be confident in our abilities to do it. We need to have the skills. And it's nice if we have like a boss or a teacher or a parent or some authority figure who believes in us, that encourages us to continue to do well. And if we know we can do well, then we can do the task. Now, ADHD people, we like to shoot ourselves in the foot repeatedly because our reward system doesn't work in line like it should, right? And so over time, that just takes away our belief in our abilities, which is also essential. It's about having the skill, but it's about believing that you have the skill. And with ADHD, this messes up that whole process of executive function and identity. And so that's what the studies have uncovered, is that it isn't just our attentional problems, which we can't direct. We really have very little control over these things. It's also our reward system. is wired kind of backwards. So what can you do? Okay. You can't just, this is the thing about behavioral psychology that frustrates people. I can't just say, hey, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow and then do it. Just mind over matter, put my mind to it. I'm going to hit the books. I'm going to study hard. I'm going to run that marathon. I'm going to keep my house clean. I'm going to eat salad. I'm going to buy groceries on time. I'm not going to eat junk food. I'm going to call my friends when I should. I'm going to answer those text messages. I'm going to pay my bills. It would be really great if we could just say we're going to do these things and then do them. No, people with ADHD, no one. Sorry, that applies to everybody. It's not just people with ADHD. We have very limited control. This is why people don't like behavioral psychology. It's kind of a bleak view. It eliminates our sense of empowerment and control of our own lives. So what can you do? Okay. So if you want to repair or rewire that reward system, again, you can't just say, I'm going to do these things and expect it to change. But you can control through your goal-setting behavior, through very realistic goal setting, and through your reward system, you can redirect that attention. So what you want to stop doing, right, and this is where ADHD people have no sense of time management, what you want to stop doing is creating very unrealistic expectations for yourself that you're most likely going to fail at, because it's that goal and the failure that shapes your self-esteem and your reward system, and it shakes your ability in yourself. So what you want to do is set really tiny measurable goals, and remember your sense of time management is probably not very accurate, and a lot of where we screw up is actually in that goal setting. It isn't necessarily in our abilities. It's how much time we don't devote to things and how much time we waste on things and how much time we think it's going to take. It's probably a lot more. And we have this weird overconfidence. So our self-esteem is like pushed down. Then we have this weird overconfidence, like, I'll just power through if I only have 2 hours and I'll get it done. Right? Like, it's insane. But this is what we do. Okay. So learn to set tiny measurable goals, as many as you can. I would stay away from like a huge goal, like after I complete this essay in 2 months, I'm going to take myself on a trip to Paris. That isn't really how the reward system is shaped. Tiny, tiny goals that you accomplish, and then make sure you acknowledge it. Because with ADHD, you're not going to acknowledge it. Normally functioning people can take these little cognitive exercises and they can just, boom, succeed with them. Because they say, oh, I'm going to set this realistic goal and I'm going to achieve it and then I'm going to start to feel better. And they do. And for people with ADHD, because with that reward system doesn't naturally kick in like it should, we just beat ourselves up for the things we do wrong, but then we don't actually reward ourselves for the things we do right. And that's the key. That's the key to everything. All function comes from your reward system. All measurable goals. And some cognitive science says, state it out loud. I am going to read this paper. I am going to do the dishes. And then hearing yourself say that, and then doing it, really makes that connection that increases the dopamine. Right? This is your reward center. This is how it works. And then acknowledge, because you're going to actually hear your own voice say it. I did a great job. I said I was going to do something and I did it. So now you're learning I can rely on myself. I am my own best friend here. I did a really good thing. It's about how over time this will shape your behavior. Okay? Now what we don't want to do is historically what you've probably done, and that's beat yourself up about it. Okay? What you absolutely don't want to do is say, oh no, I messed up again. I was late. I didn't study enough. I didn't take good enough notes. I slept in again. I didn't plan a healthy meal and I felt really weak and tired because I didn't have healthy groceries, because I didn't go shopping, because I put that off. Because what starts to kick in, that really negative voice, I'm a screw up, I'm a failure. That's the voice that you don't want to run the show. And with ADHD, it does. Not only does it kick in when you do something wrong, but it's really about the anticipation of. It's about the anticipation of, if I do this, this is going to happen. And the weird thing with ADHD, and this is what researchers have found, we can actually estimate very accurately what's going to happen, because they thought maybe that's what we're doing wrong. Maybe we can't understand that if I don't pay my bills and this bad thing happens, like I have a really bad interest payment, that's going to feel like a punishment. And maybe we just can't make that connection between estimating how bad I'm going to feel. No, the researchers were quite shocked. We actually can anticipate that. We can anticipate, if I don't do this thing, if I neglect it, I'm going to feel really crummy. And that still doesn't motivate us. I know, we're weird. So what you want to not do is tell yourself bad things, okay? So no more negative self-talk. Anytime that you can catch yourself doing a good thing or a bad thing, no more bad thing. No more beating yourself up. No more spending too much time ruminating over past mistakes. Even if they were a minute ago, no more of that. But be sure to make a big deal for yourself out of everything that you do well. Now, what is a good reward? I find this part very tricky, especially when you're creating your own rewards. When we're talking about behavioral psychology, someone like Skinner, who was like the most famous behavioral psychologist, he would create these circuit boards for animals that had things like lights and stimulation. He used a lot of snacks. Those are things you don't want to do, because then you're going to associate food with reward, and that's its own kind of problematic. So it's difficult when you're setting your own. I think, personally, that setting up these rewards, like I'm going to do some art. I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to watch TV. Whatever that reward is, I find those really difficult. I think that the science is pretty strong behind the verbal acknowledgement. I'm going to do this thing. You do it, and then make sure you acknowledge it. I think that's actually where the stronger amount of research is. So I'm going to, whatever thing you're trying to change, okay? I'm going to read this book. I'm going to read this chapter very specifically. Make it small, okay? I have to read this book, but I have to read this chapter. I'm going to read 3 pages. And then, oh, good job, I read 3 pages. Make it tiny. Make it tiny. I'm going to unload the dishwasher. Do the thing, and then say, oh, I unloaded the dishwasher. I did such a good job. And it might feel silly, but it's really important. So why is it so important? Because over time, it shapes your behavior. It creates goal-directed behavior. And that gets your executive function all in line, okay? So you can't control the ADHD. You can't just rewire your brain at will because you want to, but you can use these little hacks, which there's quite a bit of research and science behind this to support this idea, that the more you tell yourself, the more you verbalize to yourself, the more you acknowledge it. It's all about putting it into your awareness and then making rewards and then making a big deal out of it. The more you can do this, the more your executive function will start to function the way that you want it to. So give it a shot. Tell me what you think. I would actually really love to hear it. It's been immensely helpful for me, and over time, right, this is going to change your entire sense of self and your identity. So I hope this helps. This is my quick little short on how to understand your reward system and ADHD. Thank you for watching. And on that note, I did a really good thing, and I completed my video. Yay me! And whatever you're working on, yay you!